Virtuoso play a fantastic first man. I'm not counting this team out.
Yeah, absolutely. This one, I think, could be a lot closer than you might initially expect. But at the same time, obviously, Endpoint and Top Blokes have both been prone to their ups and downs, and we shall see what happens today. Cassio trying to start it off with a bang, just passed.
Archie going to slow down Endpoint on a quick counterattack. That was something that they did pretty well yesterday. And their success was their counterattacks. They're going to try to force some opportunities in front of the box here. And each player kind of taking it up, trying to high air dribble, see what works, see what's not. But it's going to be Metzenaris who will actually just straight up win the ball, keep Endpoint on the orange half. So not a bad start for Endpoint, and see if they can keep that going. That 50 will certainly send them running back.
I'm really looking for Relating Wave to have a big day if Endpoint wants to be successful. And of course, today is Flame's birthday. We'll see if he plays well. Cassio missing an open net. Would have liked to see that one go in. And as I was saying, we'll see if Flame can celebrate a birthday and make the semifinals and continue the road here for Regional 3.
Ooh, Relating Wave. It's a nice touch in midfield. And Endpoint are looking right now like the squad in control, and Virtuoso punches the first one in off of Metzenaris' rebound.
Virtuoso happy to go and catch this miss clear. Awkward ball, real tough to play that one over the shoulder. It needs to be perfect. Flame can't quite get there, and Virtuoso will capitalize.
No, the birthday jitters. The birthday jitters.
Yeah, right.
It's his birthday. He's allowed to miss one.
Everybody gets one on their birthday.
And maybe two for Endpoint. Relating Wave, a laser into the net off of another Metzenaris pass.
Yeah, this one off the kickoff's pretty brutal. Flame gets bumped by Virtuoso, so he can't even go and challenge the ball. Metza throws it out to the side for Relating Wave and leaves Archie in just a awful position to be in, trying to defend the large part of the net, forces you to give up the back post, and gets blasted right behind him.
Well, Relating Wave wanted to send Flame his happiest happy birthday by putting the party time goal explosion on. Happy birthday, Flame, the ball's in your net. But Virtuoso quickly in midfield. And Endpoint, maybe not what a lot of people expected heading into this match, Chiefs. Top Blokes have consistently been challenging the upper echelon of Europe.
Yeah.
While Endpoint have certainly had their struggles all across the board.
Yeah, and Top Blokes definitely heating back up with their qualification here into Stage 3. Two convincing stages in Stage 1 and Stage 2, and Endpoint kind of starting to scrape by despite throwing out a lot of fireworks earlier on in some previous regionals. Metza had an open net, and that one is followed up by Virtuoso. Thankfully, he's having a good start. 2 goals, 3 assists for Metza here, but Virtuoso is happy to go and collect one more time.
And probably the easiest start Endpoint could have expected. You get a couple of key misses from Top Blokes, and you really take advantage of them. But Metzenaris getting the playmaker this early. He's been the passer, I'll just say the passer for this team, because that's kind of what Metzenaris does. Even when he's shooting, he's passing. The poor guy's hit the post and the crossbar more times this weekend than any other player, it feels like.
Yeah, I remember when we're talking to Virtuoso, I believe it was last regional, we asked him, what went into picking up Metza and what's it like to have a player like that. And they were like, we picked up Metza because if I'm going to sit there and play so aggressively, you need a strong defensive presence. And, Metza, if anything, is absolutely a solid anchor player. He can be a great guy to just break out of your own half. And when he gets that ball in the midfield, he can make a few things happen. So that's most of the reason why they bring Metzenaris on. And Relating Wave is just that nice flex player for them.
But it is interesting for Virtuoso just because he's evolved since the last regional. So It's not just, it's not just straight aggression, like I'm going to go for bumps and demos and I'm just going to cause havoc. Instead, he's really morphed into this. I'm just going to play a very consistently aggressive first man and try to, win some solid 50s. If I can cut rotation and get a quick follow-up, I will. And he's been very solid in that role for Endpoint. Like, that was the biggest thing I think that I noticed yesterday with him was that evolution of, bumps and demos aren't everything. And while it was fun to watch Virtuoso constantly blow everybody up on the pitch, this certainly is netting better results.
Yeah, I would agree. As we mentioned, you know, it felt like people were starting to figure Endpoint out. And, you know, when you start running into a brick wall, you have to change your method. And Endpoint are absolutely trying to do that so far. And we'll see what Metza has here with trying to get a pinch pass. Relating wave, looking for Virtuoso. Gets it through Casio. Sticking with it. Gets a block, but nobody else there to follow up. And Metza will turn that aside.
Just no offense for Top Blokes at all. They have 4 registered shots on net, but you look back and their cleanest opportunity was Casio's miss on the open net, and he was playing pretty close to the back wall in that opportunity. The Endpoint have played very cleanly and haven't felt the press at all. No one on Top Blokes is really finding it. And Flame almost got the goal. That would have been nice to have at the end of game 1. But they don't get it. This is definitely a better return to form on this push. A little too late for game number 1, but after the whiffs, the initial jitters, Top Blokes saying, look, game 2, it ain't gonna be the same.
Yeah, I would agree. I think this one got out of hand a little early, considering they got that nice early goal, and then Flame couldn't stick a tough read over his shoulder on the backboard. Combine that with just another kickoff goal where they got bumped and couldn't even challenge the ball and then got put in a bad spot. Endpoint played a phenomenal first minute and a half, and the rest was just some solid textbook back and forth. And, you know, that's all really Endpoint had to do. They didn't have to press after they had such a strong start. It was really all on Top Blokes to be aggressive, and I think you're right. I think Top Blokes prevent game 2 from getting out of hand so early. I think it's just some unfortunate happenstances there.
And that's really where I want to see Endpoint. It's like, okay, you know, quality first game, but some of them were definitely given to you. But how do you play when you're put under some consistent pressure? You know, how, what's the word I'm looking for? How stoic are you on defense? And how well can you handle a high pressure offense like the Top Blokes can put on? So we'll see if they can mount that kind of attack in game 2. But if Endpoint start well off on the kickoff here, that confidence might be all they need to keep Top Blokes on their back wheels.
Yeah, I think first minute going to be very telling here for game 2. You're really looking for Top Blokes to come out here, control pace of play, see what they do with this kickoff. They drew it back, and what does Flame do? Bit of a risky play, just dumping it off, and it puts a lot of pressure on Casio to hang onto the ball here. So how does Top Blokes hold possession?
And Archie on Top Blokes, who's made a lot of waves as a splash player. You can have some flash to him every now and then, but more and more as Top Blokes play, they've definitely formed a more complete unit. Casio, who at one point, I think it was the last regional where I felt like there was nobody better in Europe at passing than he was. And so you'd like to see them do that. Speaking of splash plays, Archie sends one from the top.
What a shot as well. Archie just went and got this one. That is not an easy shot to hit. Coming from the opposite side of the ball, boosting up there to make sure you beat the defense and squaring it up with the corner of your car on the opposite side. That requires some real control, and that was a phenomenal shot from Archie. And of course, it helps when Flame got up there so quickly just to kick that ball into the middle.
And the first goal for Top Blokes. We'll see if this flips in game 2, but Metzenaris gives a chance to Virtuoso, got a great dunk, but Flame jumps back for the save. Now Endpoint want to keep midfield theirs, but it's proven difficult as Top Blokes move downfield. Casio is already ready in the attacking corner, and now Flame with no boost actually kicks it out to the side, and that will delay Endpoint for a moment. Casio matching the speed on both ends of the pitch. Archie picking up the next save. Top Blokes not even letting Endpoint have any sort of extended opportunity. And back to the blue half we go. Popped up for a relating wave, but no one is going to commit for that on Top Blokes. Much rather go back, trap it again. We'll try to carry it out from our own half. The result, well, Archie gets a carry, but the 50 is Casio's now, so Endpoint, a couple of pushes just haven't worked out, and Casio almost found the dunk. Flame maybe gets this to Archie. He does, but that's just going to delay Endpoint on their attack back, or will it?
There you go. Really liking Top Blokes' ability to pick up some of these awkward clears. Relating wave finally able to sneak it over everyone. Archie can't make it back, and oh no. I thought they were doing so well. Archie creeps a little too close here to the corner though, and just unfortunate. That's what classic, you know, gravity effect. You just want to get closer to the play as it's slowing down. And Archie
Your brain turns
one
off.
step too far.
We've been so good on offense. Cassio, he's won everything.
He has, really.
He won't lose this touch.
He's had a solid game 2 so far, for sure.
Yeah.
Cassio, I think, for me, definitely one of the strongest midfield presences in Europe. Perhaps a little underrated in that regard, but I really do think he provides a lot of value when it comes to the challenge game.
I think I definitely agree with that too. Cassio doesn't wow you a lot of the times, and those players tend to go unnoticed just because their value, or most of their value, comes in the abstract and not necessarily in the hard numbers, the scoring, or the things that you can obviously see, like crazy flip resets, fakes, those kinds of things. But I absolutely agree that he's underrated in that midfield aspect. This has been good for top blokes after that last kickoff. Though still got to be careful because the 50 game is not completely theirs. It has certainly swayed back and forth, and now Endpoint, they've had a couple of good sequences here. They're stretching top blokes end to end, getting a couple of demos. Yeah, demos will come out when nothing else is working, but Flame hops in front of this next ball. Top blokes, excellent on defense.
Ooh, Archie really trying to get creative there, slow that play down, and Virtuoso doing the exact same thing. Flip reset, and Cassio, he didn't bite at all. He didn't care. He was like, I'm playing the ball. Archie will go up and get that. Top blokes are going to score here because Cassio just saw Archie's air dribble, was like, nah, that's terrible, and just took it from him.
Cassio says, I see your flip reset, and I raise you a ball chaser. And sorry, I win this bout. I'm just going to smash my face into the ball. Sometimes that's the best option. Certainly works for Cassio.
Works every time.
Now, Endpoint, well, the control just hasn't been there like it was in game 1. Much cleaner, especially from Cassio. I know we've talked a lot about him. Oh, Archie tried to air roll into it.
He was playing a block. That's what had him beat to that ball, and he was trying to get above it to knock it back down. Cassio feeds one to Archie on the left side, and Relating Wave able to get out there. Breakaway chance for Endpoint. 2 in the corner, and they're going to have to run from this one.
Oh, they're just forced to stretch even when they're on offense. No one's ready for top blokes to just pop it over to the gap. One option left a little too wide open, and Archie had just a little bit of space, but that only delays things for about a moment. This is where Endpoint want to be. They can keep it locked in midfield. If they can force top blokes to respond like that, where they're diving for a lot of challenges, then they might be able to find the opening that they're looking for. They tried a couple demos earlier, but that didn't do enough to stop the rotation or create the hole that they wanted. But here Virtuoso can't get anything going there from Relating Wave, too far away from the ball. And this is exactly how top blokes will play if Endpoint are going to give it to them. Time running out for Endpoint to find the game-tying goal.
Yeah, and they're all stuck in the same spot too. Metz is going to have to work some magic, and that big bump from Flame is going to waste so much time. Now they got to do it in the air.
Well, Relating Wave will be challenged, and Endpoint will lose game 2. We're all tied up in our 4th quarter final. Top blokes much more in form.
Some big takeaways from both Cassio and Flame, but Archie, I mean, you got to give him credit. A lot of speed to follow up both of the goals he scored. Like that first one, Flame just went and popped it up off the sidewall. And then Archie just went and got that one. And the second one, Cassio just takes away that air dribble from Virtuoso. And Archie is there once again to tap them both in. So credits to Archie for recognizing goal scoring opportunities. Unfortunately, he gave one back, but at the end of the day, it's okay. They held on.
And I do feel like Endpoint did try multiple things to try to get by this top blokes team, but midfield was really something worse for them, and they tried slowing it down. They tried those air dribbles. They even tried booming clears, but there was always somebody on top blokes that was right where they needed to be in the rotation to stop anything they were trying. Even when they were they tried demos to open it up, but it wasn't the right demo. So Endpoint there maybe left scratching their head a little bit, wondering how they can get by this top blokes defense again in game 3.
Yep, I think Endpoint, like you're right, had a couple of good ideas, right? The classic demos, but the offense not quite in the position or having the boost required to be able to come forward and capitalize on that. And that's a nice cut from Relating Wave, and they're going to have a lot of time to set this up however they like. Flame getting in their face, though. and just making that as difficult as possible. And that's a good move. You know, in 3v3, you can almost be assured that it's always safe to send one person to just get in the face of whoever's trying to air dribble.
Oh, I thought Archie might be able to find the closest angle there. Knocked away regardless. Casio, the continuing touch. Those kind of touches always keep a defense on there, you know, flat, because you just don't know when the play is actually done when a top Blokes car is still behind the ball. You think he's not going to get to it, but then you're like, oh, he got that touch and the ball's over your head. It just keeps you a little more honest. Yeah.
It's not like it's a particularly dangerous touch, but it's one that it's easy to overlook, and just like that, it's right through as Casio is able to come cleanly out of the corner with the ball. Relating Wave wants a banger, slaps it right at Archie off the ceiling. And Metzenaris is going to just clip this back over to the orange side. Not the best clear, and top Blokes in a bit of a weird spot. Fortunately, Virtuoso wasn't in position, and that's a few precious moments to get reset here for top Blokes.
Endpoint actually grabbed both of those midfield boosts as well. And we'll keep top Blokes, well, one at 0, the other below 50, and only one was able to pick up a canister. You can't try to force too much, and they're back on their own wall. Nice catch and cut. Man, Relating Wave can be so speedy out of nowhere. The, I guess, agility, if you will, of his ability to just cut really fast onto the ball when you're expecting him to go a different direction. A couple different times now he's had those nice cuts in this match. Ooh. Metzenaris setting up Virtuoso. Top Blokes defend it for now.
They got lucky. Relating Wave was expecting that clear to go out to the side of the pitch instead of down the middle, so he wasn't in position to just take a shot. Otherwise, top Blokes were going to be toast right there.
Oh, top Blokes. There's plenty of time to get set and grab boosts. The Boomer back to their half, and everyone's kind of flat stuck. And Archie was driving up the back wall, but yeah, why is Casio just getting a free clear from that angle?
Yeah, like Virtuoso, like that's a great pass into the midfield, and that's what we were talking about at the start of this game. You know, it just didn't really feel like Endpoint were necessarily in position to follow up on some decent chances, and there's a better example of it. Flame turns aside, an attempt from Virtuoso. Metza keeps the pressure up, but is anyone going to be here for this? Archie's number one, Relating Wave to Virtuoso. This could be pretty. Straight down. Flame is able to make the block. Can't make number 2. Archie comes out of the corner, tries his best, but Metza, number 3, drops the hammer.
Now Archie grabbed that midfield boost and was expecting to have a little bit more time to get back, but that was a great touch from Virtuoso.
Oh yeah,
putting top Blokes in a really high pressure situation, and just had enough of a touch to make things super awkward for top Blokes. Those are always tough to properly save. Offense more times than not has the advantage, so Endpoint right back where they left off.
And you know, that's what it should look like. That's the time where, okay, now they're all on the same page, and then it bears fruit all of a sudden. Amazing.
It works out once, and maybe twice. No, Relating Wave not going to find the touch he wants, and Virtuoso is just going to buy time. It was enough time for Relating Wave.
Ooh, big block.
Oh, top Blokes, they can't force anything against the corner. In fact, 2 touches for Archie, but again, enough time for Endpoint to think about where the offense is going on defense. There aren't enough consistent opportunities from top Blokes to really stretch Endpoint. I was curious how Endpoint would fare again when they're tested with top Blokes offense. Well, how they fare is they've limited them to 3 shots on net. Top Blokes have had few chances.
And goals have really come at a premium in general across this series so far, so Endpoint might be content to just try and punt the ball away for the last minute or so and see if they can get away with winning the game that way and just jam the ball in the corner.
Oh, you got to be careful, though, with Flame keeping things close, but the rest of top Blokes were playing it a little too close together. Cassia will come in. This might be a chance for top Blokes, but Metzenaris grabbed the ball away, and then Relating Wave kicks it off that blindside challenge. This might be Endpoint's ball, and it just skirts wide of the net. Top Blokes cut off again. Relating Wave doesn't get the touch, and Casio picks up the ball. Has another one. Can he get it in? Casio stuck it into the top corner. Oh, Oh, top Blokes tie it up.
Flame gets the bump to take off one player. Metza knows he's got to get to it, but how do you squeeze that one into the top right corner? Casio delivers a big goal with 11 seconds left.
Just when they needed it. And now Endpoint with one touch from Relating Wave. And a hard bounce. Metzanar is just going to make sure he doesn't overcommit and maybe give Endpoint another chance, but that might have just given the ball to top Blokes. Probably better you missed. Overtime.
Disappointing OT to find themselves in for Endpoint. Really played a pretty solid game. Like you said, you know, they limited a lot of top Bloke shots, but all it took was one Casio air dribble with an uncontested approach, and Archie's kind of getting the bumps, and that's a huge stop from Relating Wave. Turn it in off the backboard. There's Metza into the goal. Endpoint are on match point heading into game 4. They get the bump here. Casio can't make the read, and Archie is saying, please just hit it into my car because I can do nothing.
And Metzanar is like, okay, well, I'm just going to roll it next to you. How about that, Archie?
That's close enough, right?
I gotta say, even though I was like, I think people are sleeping on Endpoint a little bit, I am still kind of surprised to see them at match point. But like, this is just a different Endpoint squad. Like, they don't look like they don't look like a 500 team anymore. And that was what they were for the first 2 regionals plus the grid. Endpoint would win half of their games, and you literally couldn't figure out what was going on with this team. Yeah, you had Virtuoso Cam, you had some hype around this team. There are some likable characters on Endpoint, but would you put them in the top anywhere? No. But today, they're playing super well, very clean. Overall, there's not a ton of misplays, not a lot of mistouches. The worst that I think you could say is, you know, they might give up on a touch or two, or they might not be as accurate. But like, this Endpoint squad is really putting it the top Blokes.
It's looking good so far, and top Blokes definitely not looking like the team that's trying to kick your teeth in with the offense so far. So here with 2 games left to win, if you're a top Blokes fan, you're really gonna have to start pulling out some impressive things, and this kickoff might be just the way to do it. Flame gets through Virtuoso, skips it into the middle. Casio's there, and it's off the post and out. Kick down the pitch, and Metza might score a goal.
That was the riskiest third-man challenge from Archie. But good defense. Casio, he tried to snipe that right corner, couldn't find it, and hit the post. And then Archie was like, no, we got to keep playing offense here. But everyone was still recovering on the opponent's back wall. So don't win that challenge, you get scored on. And Endpoint take advantage.
Oh, and they get another one. Oh, no.
Well, the mountain just got a little bit steeper for top Blokes, and Casio.
Kickoff gone wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, top Blokes don't do anything really wrong here. It's just an aggressive follow behind the kickoff. You get a little too close, the ball skips up. The other team has waited just a few paces behind, and that means you're toast because it's over your shoulders.
Archie thought he maybe had an opportunity there, and those kickoff goals are always the worst when you're on the other side of it, because it feels like they got a 2-for-1 almost on one goal, because you barely played anything. But the best thing for top Blokes is they let it happen in the first 30 seconds. So you got plenty of time as long as you clean it up from here.
Exactly. There's a very positive way to spin that, you know. It's just you give them the 2-goal handicap because you know they need it. And, you know, now you're going to go out there and win the game, right?
Oh, no. Well, if Archie can't put the ball on target, I don't know. But maybe he gets this one. Oh, sweeping underneath was Casio. I actually don't know what the better play would have been there. I like the idea of, you know, they're watching Archie, and you might not expect Casio sweeping the rug from under you underneath.
Oh, here we go.
Too hard.
That's too far, yeah. Flame had the right idea. It was going to be a hotly contested ball either way. Casio trying to give it back to Archie in the corner, and I really feel, I think, top Blokes starting to strain a little bit, forcing things a little tighter than they need to be. But I can understand the frustration. You're on match point, you need to score, and Flame is turned aside by Metza at the top of the goal.
Great save, but still top Blokes ball. Close angle pass for Casio, and immediately defended. All Archie's touch is going to do is buy time for midfield. Flame had trouble handling the ball, and top Blokes are forced into another retreat. Flame grabs this touch, but not before Endpoint could grab it back. Virtuoso gonna make this 50 happen? He does, because Archie had pulled off on the play. But Endpoint haven't bit too hard on anything Top Blokes have given them. The Top Blokes have had a couple of pretty solid opportunities since the opening minute, but still just can't really find a way through Endpoint. The Virtuoso is just gonna demo the guy in net for good measure. Good luck getting a consistent clear now.
And you know, that clock seems to run a little faster on match point, because it feels like we were just saying, you know, it's only 30 seconds, but now you're halfway through the game, and they need that one in. Metanoris clearing that away. There's a demo on the goal line, and Top Blokes really throwing everything at Endpoint right now.
Archie will have the next catch. He's got enough boost to get one more touch, and Cassie will make the challenge happen. So now Top Blokes can get set. And Flame, he dove for the next challenge. This is a limited boost scenario on offense that Top Blokes were in, and that long boomer forces them to try again from their own half. Archie just can't hang on to this. Endpoint are responding to every pass, and Cassio gets a nice read there on his flip, but it's not enough yet. He's gonna flip in front, try to turn. They're really trying to force the issue.
I feel like the communication breaking down as well. Archie and Flame both going for that ball in the same corner when one of them needs to split out to be able to block a clear, get ready for a pass, and waste valuable time. And when you need 2 goals, you'd like to have at least a minute to do it.
Ooh, Virtuoso, knowing that Flame was playing close to him, just wanted to keep him away from that challenge. That is not what you want if you're Top Blokes. Archie racing towards it. He will grab it. That would have been disastrous and likely the end of the set. Still Top Blokes.
He turned around. Flame tipped that to the left because he saw, I think it was Cassio at the midfield line, and he was expecting Cassio to push forward. But Cassio picked up the midfield boost and turned back. And that's just one of those unfortunate circumstances. Virtuoso wants the demo on Cassio. And time a big factor.
Ooh.
Archie through 1.
And he can't get through 2. It's relating wave this time on the save. Well, urgency button needs to be smacked about 1,000 times by Top Blokes. Otherwise, they're about to be knocked out in 4 games by Endpoint, and it will be their first. It will be the first regional that they don't make a semifinals appearance. Flame can't carry the ball out. And Top Blokes are suffocated against their back wall, desperately looking for an angle out. But every time they try, Virtuoso's in the way. Even right there, Relating Wave and Metanoris are rotating back after Metanoris had the miss. And no, the goal doesn't happen still. Yeah. And Archie has to force his way through. Full bore in. Top Blokes are still alive.
Cassio somehow able to stick this one close with everybody on Endpoint running into each other on the goal line, and who else but Archie to come through and turn it in. They got 14 seconds. Does it happen?
Well, Endpoint got a gift on a kickoff goal. Maybe Top Blokes can get a favorable kickoff here. But Metanoris puts it in the one gap. It forced Top Blokes back, and that wastes all that time, and now they got to do it in the air. But Archie gets a solid touch here. Flame, well, they're going to have to receive what Metanoris gives them. That's going to be a high ball. Can he get there? He does, but 2 Top Blokes players close in midfield. Archie with the
demo.
first touch. Flame with the second. Archie can't get back. Flame keeps it alive. Cassio, he had time to get back from the demo, and he's coming up for this one. Virtuoso is there, and it drops to the ground. Endpoint upset Top Blokes and roll to the semifinals.
Virtuoso with the big brain play on the goal line at 0 seconds, making it look like he's gonna just try and tip that out to the corner, pulls in Cassio going for the dunk, and Virtuoso just rolls the car back down and lets it fall in front of him. Great play from Virtuoso at 0 seconds to kill the series, and a disappointing loss for Top Blokes, but hey, hats off to Endpoint. Metanoris, I think, had an excellent series here. A lot of great saves, a lot of great goals, a lot of great setups. I think he did very well today.
I think so too. I thought Metanoris was, you know, the force, a little bit more of that force that we were used to seeing back when, you know, he was in his best days, I would say. But he's slowly finding a new place, a new form with Virtuoso and Relating Wave. This Endpoint squad in general has evolved. We've talked about it over the course of this match, and I certainly think that they have to be taken with 100% seriousness in this semifinal. They're not going to be an easy out at all.
Well, on the other side of things, of course, disappointing loss for Top Blokes, considering Top Blokes already beat Endpoint once. back in stage 1, they won 3-2, but today in single elimination, they can't get the job done, and they will have to see what's next for them.
And so our quarterfinal matches are wrapped up, Achieves, and now it's time for the juicy semifinal match. Y'all know what's coming up next. You've been waiting for it ever since that second quarter finish. Team BDS versus Renault Vitality, turning into a classic in Europe. I can't wait for it after the break.